What's up, guys? We have the my OMP M1 here. It's the Evo version. I've been wanting to post this because all I post is pretty much all my blades, and I'm gonna show my OMP some love here. So I'm gonna show you guys how I set it up with my radio. I am running a DX8 Spektrum radio with this one, and also here's a small comparison. In comparison with the Blade Nano S3, of course, they don't compare in performance, but size-wise, you can see it's kind of the same size. It's not too much bigger, and you're getting a lot of performance out of it too. For any of you guys who want a different option, you can have like the 150S. It's roughly bigger than the OMP, so the OMP M1 is kind of in between the both. And here, let me show you the Blade 150S with the canopy on. Here they are again. You have the Nano S3 with the canopy, OMP, all three of them with the canopy, 150 in the back. And you can see that the 150 is much bigger. Everything's beefier on that too. The main head is about the same size, and I believe the OMP M1 is classified as a 150 size helicopter. I don't really agree with that because the main blades are actually smaller than 150 mil. And if you go by today's standard, they look like they're like 20 millimeters shorter. So you can't really tell on my camera, but they are that much shorter. So it's more like a 120 size to me. Anyways, in comparison, I prefer the M1 because of just as far as micros go. It's the smallest micro helicopter that really performs, and really outperforms a lot of bigger helicopters. Just because of this flybarless unit, it's very stable. The quality is there, and another thing is parts pricing is very cheap. You get parts in pairs of 2 for the price of 1. In comparison to like the Blade helicopters, you get 1 main shaft. Or in this case, the 150S, they'll give you 2 main shafts, 2 featherings, 2 booms, kind of pretty much what OMPM does, but the price is a little higher by like maybe $3 more. But here's the catch. The trade-off, I mean, with the blades, I'm able to get my parts within 2 days of within my order, my initial placement of the order. The OMPM one, I'm able to get my parts within a week, sometimes 3 days, 4 days, but it is roughly 5 business days. You can expedite it. You're paying money for that, $30. You can rather spend that on the shipping or extra parts. Doesn't really matter, I guess, but if you're really the person that doesn't stock up on parts, you're gonna want something like the 150 where you can get parts pretty much on the fly, and most of the parts are always in stock, and very little downtime with back order stuff. OMP, I always see parts back order. They do, suppliers, dealers do get their parts pretty quick from OMP. But anyways, I do want to just also show the setup on this. You're gonna need a satellite, a Spektrum satellite. If you're gonna use a DX8 or any Spektrum radio, and it's very easy. You can set it up just like you would as with your Blade helicopters. You can set up flight modes and assign your stability mode to any flight mode on the switch at any time and disable it. It's actually a little easier than the blades because you don't have to go through forward programming. And let me demonstrate that pretty quick. So you have your I have my DSMX satellite, and it's a 3-wire. Has to be a 3-wire, and you get your little connector, shorten it however you want. I just use the full length. I just tucked it underneath the flybarless unit, and I kind of made it come out this way. Stuck some double-sided tape and ran the antenna back and bent it back. It kind of takes on that shape, and it never kind of distorts or warps in another way. And it's cool that way because it's always transmitting signal, a good signal anyways, to my radio. Yeah, you're gonna have to bind this anyways on using a separate flybarless unit, and then you would use with the Spektrum radios. You would use here's my Fusion 180. I mean my 480 stretch. I'll demonstrate. So you would essentially remove your serial receiver, and you're gonna remove that. Insert a bind plug as you after um, you plug in your battery, and then you would connect your satellite that you're gonna bind into this port, which is gonna be the RX1. It'll start flashing rapidly. You bind it DSMX, whatever is required, 11 milliseconds or high. Most of the new Raiders are hybrid, but for the DXA it's 11 milliseconds DSMX, and yeah, so DSMX2. And once you bind it, disconnect it, install it on the OMP M1, and after you install it, it should initialize with your radio, and the servo should greet you with an initialize process, and you'll know that it's has bound successfully. So for example, here's my radio, it's on. I will connect the battery, they will center, then the helicopter will continue to, after a few seconds, it'll initialize. That's for the gyro. I believe it's calibrating upon plugging it in. And don't move the sticks or anything, because then it won't initialize ever. So there's the helicopter, and here are my settings. Let's go from the beginning. System setup, model select. So what you're gonna do is, let's go back. So you're gonna go to model select, add new model, of course. Then you select your model type, helicopter, of course. And then you're gonna go to your model name. Of course, it's gonna be OMP M1, or I don't know, maybe you have two M1s and you wanna call it OMP M1, number 2. I'm not sure. You can change that at any time. Swash type, it's gonna be normal. It's gonna show you a little prompt here what you have selected. It's normal. The flight mode is important. So here is where you assign your stability mode, and the stability mode that's going to be assigned at all times to your flight mode. You don't have to do it this way. I'll show you a different way, but here you are. So switch 1, it's going to be for my flight mode. I'm going to choose B, located up here, and they are labeled. So I'm going to choose B. It's this one, as I use it for all my helicopters. Muscle memory. I'm not going to switch it around, then I'm going to have a bad habit of flipping the wrong switch when I'm flying my other models, and it might lead to a crash. Switch to inhibit, and hold switch. And then yeah, you could switch to, I believe you can assign another switch that can be your flight mode. Anyway, so hold switch is gonna be my switch H, which is what I use on my other models, and it's set by default. And then it's going to activate on position 1. So let's go back. Spoken flight modes. Nope. Channel assign. 5. You want gear assigned to B. That means that my stability mode is going to be active on one flight mode. Of course, it's going to prompt to flight mode 1, which is essentially now normal, and then stunt 1 and stunt 2. But it's going to, so stability is going to be active now in normal. So when the switch is completely back, that's going to be my normal takeoff, and it's going to be instability. And as I switch from flight mode up 1 and 2, that's going to be full 3D aerobatic. And that's all for this. Frame rate 11 milliseconds for the new radios, of course. NX, IX, you're going to want the hybrid, of course, 11/22 ms. And it's going to say hybrid or automatic. Now we can exit this and go back and set up the model itself. It's going to be servo setup, all this stuff, leave it alone. It should all be normal, nothing reversed. DR and Expo, I run 0. That's going to be your preference. Choose your switch. I'm going to go F. That's where I have my frame rate. My Expo. And you're going to assign switch F to all your channels, elevator, aileron, and your rudder. Or whatever switch you want, of course. As long as it's a 3 position, that way you have more curves that you can select through and kind of choose when you're flying. That way you don't have to keep messing with your settings. You just set 3 of them and then you select right through them, and then whatever you feel is best, and you just flip, and a flip a switch, you change your entire rates. So I like switch F because that's already what I'm used to. Go back, throttle curve. I have it for 48 for indoor flying, of course, and then I have 60 and then 80. You can play with that yourself. Pitch curve. I start off at 40. At 40 for my normal flight mode. It's 40, 45, 50, 75, 100. I reduce the negative pitch so that way it doesn't kind of push the helicopter down as I try to take off, and that way landing is a little easier and smoother, and it won't shoot down to the ground in normal mode. And then I switch to flight mode 1. It's gonna fly as it would in 3D mode, and it'll just go down really fast, go up really fast. And same thing for flight mode 2. And then hold, I also have the same thing, 40, 45, 50, 75, 100. That way if I hit hold, sometimes I tend to have a bad habit of, or when I used to have a bad habit where I would bring the stick down and it'd shoot the helicopter straight to the ground and it just kind of destroy it. So let's get out of that. And now we're gonna go to what I did to assign stability mode to any flight mode. So you're gonna create a mix, go into mixing, mix 1. Yours might say mix 0, doesn't matter which one you choose as long as you set it up right. So it's gonna be gear to gear. I believe on some of the radios it might say gear to gyro, but just go gear to gear, and your rate's gonna be 0, and then you're gonna have negative 100. Offset's gonna be 100. The switch I went with was flight mode. That way I can control where I activate stability and where I can deactivate it. I cannot deactivate it from normal due to because I have it assigned in my channel assigned. Remember I put B, so it's always going to be active in normal. I can inhibit that function and it'll disable it in normal, and then I can just activate it this way. So what you're looking essentially is, you see how gears outputting 100%. So if I switch right now, let's go into hold. If I switch into let's disconnect the helicopter, by the way. So if I switch into idle up 2 or flight mode 2, it goes negative 100. The goal is to make that positive 100 and mimic whatever stability is doing, and that way you can have stability active wherever it is you want. So see, because I can select the boxes here, and you can have stability active wherever you'd like. So see, right now if I want stability active in flight mode 2, I will just select it to be active also in 2, and now it's positive, outputting 100. So the rate's going to be from 0 to negative 100, and the offset is going to be 100. Meaning that if it was in negative 100, it's going to now offset it to 100. Right? So now that's what you do. Just make sure you find the right channel. So mine was for my G2 DX8, it's going to be gear to gear. I'll try to do one for the for the IX12, and that should be the same for the NX. So I don't have it active on idle up 2 because I like to have stability on 1, so I can have the full up and down and then still have the stability. And then normal is just for taking off. That's all I use it for. And then hold, of course, I have it active in hold, so that way it always crashes upright as it comes down when I hit hold. And then with that pitch curve that I set at slightly very little negative, it'll just kind of float the weight down, and it won't crash on the head at least. it'll just crash nice and level. It reduces the damages a lot from my experience. And I have a video on that too because I've crashed my Fusion 480 so hard, and every time I crash, I only manage to, maybe break landing gear, or just a bolt, or maybe a blade might crack in half, and it saves your feathering shaft and your main shaft for sure. But anyways, you should always be looking through all your helicopters before you fly again, and go through it. That way you know it's repaired well. So that's what you do, and it should fly well. You can also see what it does here. So see, right now it's at negative 100, and then idle up. See, and if I activate stability, let's flip down to idle up flight mode 1. You see how that moves? Gear moves to 100. Even hold. So there you guys have it. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I hope I kind of explained this in a very descriptive way. That way you guys can get it all done pretty quick like I did. And here's a little bit about the 150 and the OMP M1. Both good little helicopters, and my favorite for micro is gonna possibly be I guess the 150 and the Fusion 180. They're pretty big, pretty different models, but I think in a micro size that's gonna use brushless motors all around, which is gonna be main motor, direct drive in comparison to helicopters that are not tail driven by the main motor. I would have to say the OMP M1. It's more stable, and this thing also flies like a big helicopter. It flies like more like a 450 size helicopter, which is like now like a 360, like from the Fusion 360 that Blade offers. Now, with that said, that's why I prefer the OMP M1. As far as mention about parts where you might have a more downtime with the OMP and back order stuff, whatever, just stock up. Parts are even cheaper, so with the pricing of the Blade parts, you can just get a few more parts with the OMP if stock is available. And the Blade, not bashing on it, I love my 150. I've learned a lot on my 150, and that design on the frame, I really love that frame, and I really hope that one day they can offer a 700 size in the Fusion lineup. But to this day, we'll have to do what we have with what we have. And I don't mind the plastic. Plastic is very forgiving. It's also very cheap to replace, and it doesn't bend or anything like that. I've had replaced these with micro blade grips, but the arms tend to bend. I'm not sure what aluminum they're using. Might be too soft, and it just throws off the your blade tracking pretty bad. So that's why I went with the Fusion 180 main head. So I'm gonna cut this video pretty soon, and yeah, guys. So OMP, you get 2 parts of each for your whatever you're paying. Blade for the 150, as far as the 150 goes, it's probably the only one that they give you 2 pieces per bag. And yeah, I mean, and you also have the Nano S3, like I said. It's right there with the OMP M1. Performance-wise, not a chance. It's an indoor helicopter only for me. It can handle outside flying, but it's not the best performer. Little battery packs, they kind of die pretty quick. The flight time's pretty low. These packs get beat pretty quick, and I think that the OMP M1 has a home run with the way that they've executed the design and the frame. Everything's just well made. It's durable. Not to mention, I crashed this thing possibly like at 80 miles an hour, full speed ahead, into a bush that was like had maybe half-inch or 2-inch thick roots. All I'd managed to break was a main blade. I hit the front of the ESC board, and I clipped this off, and all I did was epoxy it back Made sure the solder joints were okay. I broke one servo horn. Main shaft and feathering shaft is the same from the day I bought it. I haven't replaced those. Everything else survived. Not even the fin broke. The fin should have broken, but I was lucky. Tail blade is cool. One thing I did is replace that screw in the back, the Phillips screw for the tail blade for one of their hex. And yeah, I really wish that they would have gone with one size screw just like the blades do, because it's just more uniform. It's easier to work on, less tools you need. That can be like a future thing that they can do. What's one more thing I can mention on this, guys? I mean, it's direct drive. You don't strip gears anymore. That's for sure. Every time I crash my 150, gear goes. It strips. I bent my main shaft. I'll bent the feathering shaft. So you're already in it possibly 10, 20, 30, $30 to get it back up. And of course you get an extra main gear, you get an extra main shaft and feathering because they come in a set of 2. But there's a comparison because I crashed this so hard and my main shaft's still good. The steel that they use is very, it's heat treated, I'm sure, because it doesn't bend very easy. And landing gears, nylon, it's very durable. I think they've updated the material in the new 150S landing gear because I'm having a hard time breaking this. I've crashed it before and they break so easy, but that's not the case with the new batch I got. So yeah, servos, don't strip on these. They're very durable. I have noticed that over multiple crashes, they do kind of tend to develop a slop, and it kind of affects the flight characteristics for stability and agility. And the OMP ones, they kind of, they have like little to no play. That entire head and swash, everything, the links have no play. Your blades have substantially more play. Good upgrade, aluminum swash plate. But that's the thing, I guess. You got to see it that way too, from that standpoint. Do you want a helicopter that you want to upgrade? That's fun, but if you can get one that's already fully upgraded, there's no point to, go that route. I don't know. You guys decide, but that's that, guys, and thank you. Hopefully this video helped.